All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are cracking, literally, the ultimate cold case of the ancient world. We're talking about the Indus Valley civilization. If you're a student, grab your notebooks right now because we are going to build your perfect study guide today, focusing strictly on the hard facts, dates, and locations you absolutely need to know to ace this topic. Let's get into it.
So think about this for a second. What if the world's most advanced ancient civilization had absolutely no kings, no grand temples, and get this, no wars? Imagine a society that thrived for thousands of years entirely on peace, equality, and trade. While other ancient societies were busy building massive monuments to their god kings or fighting bloody wars, the people of the Indus Valley were perfecting their plumbing and standardizing their bricks. It's a fascinating paradox that really challenges everything we think we know about human history.
Here is our visual syllabus for today to get your notes perfectly organized. We'll hit discovery and timeline, geography of the civilization, urban planning, economy and trade, the language mystery, and finally, theories of the fall.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Discovery and Timeline, or as I like to call it, a soldier's notebook.
Okay, so believe it or not, the discovery of this highly advanced society actually started with a guy going AWOL. Back in 1827, a soldier named James Lewis deserted the British East India Company, changed his name, and just kind of stumbled upon these ancient, unknown ruins in the Punjab region, documenting them in his notes. But it wasn't until the 1920s that the Archaeological Survey of India, under John Marshall, officially excavated Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, revealing them to be over 5,000 years old. So for your timeline, the crucial point is grasping these anchor dates. While their advanced urbanization peaked around 2600 BC, recent research by IIT Kharagpur and the ASI suggests farming settlements in Haryana date all the way back to 7000 BC. That means this civilization could actually be a staggering 8,000 years old. Moving right along to Section 2, Geography. Essentially, where do these people actually live? You'll definitely want to keep this massive geographic footprint in mind for your notes. This wasn't just, a couple of villages clustered together. We're talking about a massive Bronze Age network. We have discovered more than 1,400 distinct historical sites, spanning across what is today Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Northwest India. And for your exams, remember this key statistic. Out of those 1,400 sites, 900 of them are located right in present-day India. And when you stack them up against their famous contemporaries like the Egyptians or Mesopotamians, it's actually wild. Not only could the Indus Valley be older, up to 8,000 years old, but their construction was leaps and bounds ahead. I mean, while the Egyptians were largely using raw, sun-dried bricks, the Harappans were using incredibly durable, standardized burnt bricks. Their geographic spread and their structural superiority were totally unmatched for the era. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3. Urban planning, a masterclass in design. So what's truly mind-blowing here is how closely these ancient cities resemble our modern neighborhoods today. You're definitely going to want to write this down. If you were a Harappan resident over 4,000 years ago, your quality of life was astonishing. Their streets were built on a perfect 90-degree grid system. Almost every single home had its own private bathing area, a courtyard, and an attached toilet. The waste flowed right out into meticulously covered drainage systems under the streets. They had public wells for drinking water, public dustbins, and even tree-lined footpaths. It was an absolute masterclass in urban planning that honestly put some modern cities to shame. Now, for your exams, you absolutely need to remember this specific city layout. They had a clear structural division found in almost all their cities. On the western side, built up on raised ground, you had the citadel, or upper mount. This area was heavily walled to protect against floods, and it housed major public spaces and workshops. Then you had the lower mount, which was also walled, but was strictly residential. That's where those 90-degree grid streets and all the ordinary homes were situated. And that number right there, 900, that is the square footage of one of their absolute greatest architectural marvels, the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro. We're talking about a massive 2.4-meter-deep public swimming pool. And to ensure it didn't leak, they ingeniously waterproofed the burnt bricks using a layer of natural tar. It even had a dedicated well to constantly supply it with fresh water. Just incredible engineering. Let's slide right into Section 4, Economy and Trade, or Life Without Coins. So, with their perfectly planned cities mapped out, how did they actually make a living? Especially considering they did all this without a single minted coin, sprawling palace, or royal tomb anywhere to be found. Well, their economy ran entirely on a complex barter system. So, trading pots for grain, for example. And to keep things fair, they created a highly standardized system of weights and measures. They were also master navigators, running sea trade outposts like the fortified port of Lothal right on the Arabian Sea. They dealt in precious stones, using lapis lazuli routes up to the north, and even sailed all the way over to Mesopotamia to exchange luxury goods, like beads and intricate steatite seals that featured these cool unicorn and bull motifs. Okay, Section 5, the language mystery, the uncracked code. We are now diving into the biggest unsolved puzzle of this entire cold case, their unreadable script. Honestly, if we could crack this, we would know exactly who they were. Over 4,000 artifacts have been found bearing the Indus script, but despite 100 years of trying, we still can't read a single word of it. You see, with Egyptian hieroglyphs, archaeologists famously found the Rosetta Stone, which had both Egyptian and Greek writing on it, basically acting as an ancient Google Translate. But we've never found a Rosetta Stone for the Indus Valley. What we do know for sure is that they wrote from right to left. And how do we know that? Because on the surviving stone tablets, the symbols on the left side are all cramped and squeezed together. It's exactly like when you're running out of space writing a sentence in your notebook. Historians actually classify this language as logosyllabic because they used over 400 unique signs, which is way too many to just be a simple alphabet like our 26 letters. Each symbol likely represented a whole word or specific sound. Interestingly enough, their texts often feature a mysterious jar-shaped symbol right at the end, almost acting like a full stop. And the writing is frequently paired with large carvings of animals, especially that elusive unicorn-like creature we mentioned earlier. But here is where things get really fascinating. The trade with Mesopotamia was so intense that we've actually found Indus script seals in present-day Iraq and Iran. But there's a wild twist. In Mesopotamia, that jar symbol was often repeated twice in a row. That is a pattern never found in the Indus Valley itself. So historians believe the Mesopotamians were actually borrowing the Indus characters to write their own local spoken language. It's much like how we can write a Hindi phrase using the English alphabet today on our phones. And finally, Section 6, Theories of the Fall, a slow disappearance. We've reached the tragic conclusion of our study guide. How does a utopia like this, boasting perfect grid cities and massive trade networks, just vanish from the Earth? Well, the crucial takeaway here is that it wasn't some sudden apocalyptic Hollywood explosion. It was a slow, painful degradation of their society over many, many centuries. Around 1900 BC, a rapid decline began. That gorgeous Great Bath filled up with waste, drains clogged up, and trade links were severed. By 1800 BC, most of those beautiful grid cities were largely empty. By 1300 BC, their brilliant urban planning standards were entirely forgotten. And by 600 BC, a civilization that had thrived for perhaps 5,000 years was completely gone. Just buried under the dirt to be forgotten until James Lewis walked by in the 1800s. So why did they decline? You'll want to jot down a few of these major theories for your exams. One big one is severe climate change, possibly caused by the natural shifting of tectonic plates. That shifting altered rainfall patterns and dried up the crucial Saraswati River, forcing people to pack up and migrate east toward the Ganges. Another leading theory is that in order to bake those millions of standardized bricks, they had to chop down so many trees that they caused massive deforestation, essentially ruining their own environment. Others blame sweeping fatal epidemics like malaria or cholera, or the arrival of Indo-European tribes, though warfare seems a lot less likely given the sheer lack of weapons found at these sites. Ultimately, it seems they faced this devastating cocktail of ecological and natural disasters that just slowly chipped away at their world. I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If a peaceful, beautifully organized, and highly advanced civilization couldn't survive shifting climates and disease thousands of years ago, what does that mean for our own modern fragile world today? Think on that. Keep the study guide handy, and I really hope this explainer helps you completely ace your exams.